Hello, everyone, and welcome to Strategy Gaming Dojo, where we find, learn, and play one more turn of the great strategy games. And today we are going to jump into a kind of a quick basic tutorial for Field of Glory 2. Now, we are doing this today because Field of Glory 2 Medieval is coming out on February 4th. And so I thought, if you're interested in that game and you want to know how to play it, this base game, Field of Glory 2, even though they're putting out Field of Glory 2 Medieval as like its own game, it's essentially an expansion pack. The mechanics will be almost identical. So if you know how to play Field of Glory 2, Field of Glory 2 Medieval is maybe going to have some, well, will obviously have some new orders of battle. It'll have some new factions that we'll be fighting and whatnot. But the basic orders, commands, movements, how the game works will be the same. So I thought we would do a quick tutorial, just a few episodes, two or three, talking about how this game operates. So what is this game? Well, there was originally Field of Glory, the board game, then there was Field of Glory, the PC game, and then now Field of Glory 2, the PC game, and finally Field of Glory 2 Medieval is coming out. In the original Field of Glory PC game, there were a million expansion packs that brought in every faction going back to 5 or 600 BC all the way through the medieval period. So it's not surprising that with Field of Glory 2 they are doing the same. Now I have loaded up here just the base game. The base Field of Glory 2 game is 280 BC when Pyrrhus first appears in Italy to face off with the Romans and get some Pyrrhic victories, all the way up to 25 BC. So, kind of, you get to fight with Caesar a little bit, but it stops in 25 BC. Now, the expansion packs for this game, the DLC, have expanded that obviously in both directions, back and into the future relative to this game. And so you can play pretty much any fighting force that took the field in any meaningful way uh, in antiquity. So we're talking 5 to 600 BC, all the way up to I think it stops about the time that the Western Roman Empire falls, so about 450 AD, and then at that point, that's when Field of Glory 2 Medieval will take over. But in some respects, warfare didn't change a whole lot in that time. I mean, it changed. Don't get me wrong. There were new armor. There was the phalanx. There, were the legions and how they had their checkerboard pattern. Certain things like that. But until you get to the point where there are guns and bullets, really warfare kind of, it advanced, but very slowly. And so, anyway, Field of Glory 2, Field of Glory 2 Medieval, what are they? They are board games put on the PC. I like to think of them as dynamic chess. When you sit down to play a game of chess, you know exactly the order of battle. You have eight pawns, you have a queen, you have two bishops, you know the order of battle, and you know the terrain, you know the battlefield. It is 64 squares, and that it is always the same 64 squares, and none of them differ. Uh, in this game, it is a hex-based game, okay, and you can see as I move around here the hexes, but you have different orders of battle. Some armies prefer more cavalry, some prefer more foot, some prefer more heavy infantry, some light. There are the phalanx, which I was talking about, which can be very lethal but not very maneuverable. And so there are all these different kinds of units in this game. The developers have tried historically to get them as close to the orders of battle that they believe those units actually put into the field from historical accounts of how those armies fought, what kind of units they had, how they organized. They've tried to do all of that. And so what are we seeing here? Here we see the Romans. Now I have the basic tutorial on, so we get a tooltip here and there. But these are the Romans, and they are under Quintilis Rufus, and it is 54 BC. The name of the scenario is Repelling the Invaders, because we would actually be playing the Britai over here, because it's the ancient British. We are in southeast Britain in 54 BC, ancient British against the Romans. And so these are not the Norman British, they're not the Anglo-Saxon British, they are the Britai British. We're going back to the actual, before they had been invaded numerous times. Um, and so that's what you're looking at here are those two armies facing off. This is kind of a small battle, and you can tell this was used to be a board game. It's obviously ported from a board game, and as I said, it's all hex based. But we'll go into all the rules because obviously when you play a board game, the rules and exactly how you get certain advantages or buffs and avoid certain penalties is all the key, right? I will say while we're on this screen that the number one complaint I get about this game is people do not know how to control the camera. Okay, so I would ask you if you're when you bring the game up, just put your left hand on your arrow keys, so up, down, left, and right, and then the right hand on the mouse. And if you've got those two things, you can do anything on this map, and it's actually quite easy. So I always keep my left hand on the arrows, but let's just move the mouse left, right, up, down. So, it's your usual scrolling to the side of the screen. Okay. Now let's hit the up button. That's zoom. The down button is zoom out. Okay. Left button is let's rotate, and the right button is let's rotate the other way. Okay. If you want another way to zoom, you can do it with your mouse wheel. If you have a mouse wheel, you can go in and out like this. But the most important button in this entire game is the right mouse button, because if you hold that down, you can move this map any which way you want, up, down, side, over, tilt. It's like you have control of the board of a board game. So now we're behind the Britons, and we can just go over here to the right with the mouse, just edge scrolling, right? Um, and then, you can start zooming in and out. You can rotate with the left and right buttons, or you can hold the right down and we can tilt it any which way we want. And that's the camera, okay? The camera is so important in this game because I've actually had people tell me I don't like to play that game because I can't get oriented on my troops and it drives me nuts that I can't get them squared up like this, right? Okay, so let's go talk about some of the basics, some of those things that we're all kind of like, ah, gosh, let's get into the game. And we will very quickly. I plan to move through this stuff much quicker than I do in some of my tutorials, because really, this game, as I said, like chess or like checkers, once you get the basic idea of how it works, it's going to seem very simple to you. But you have to get the basic idea, and that's what we're going to try to do here. So we're back here at the start screen, all right? And what do we have up here? Well, you have game settings and preferences. You can pick your difficulty. This is what I was talking about, mouse button mode. If you do it left and right, good luck to you, my friend. I feel like most games are left only. I pick left only. Screen mode, of course, do what you will there, and with all of these things, these are all kind of personal preference. One thing I would do, or I would say at the start, is tooltips. Put those to detailed when you're first starting out. It will give you a lot more information, and so I would always have that on detailed, at least at the start. So those are your, preferences. Nothing unusual there if you've played PC games for a while, right? Load a previously saved game. I just want to click on this to show you how many community scenarios there are. Uh, you know, there are a lot. And this is only scratching the surface. You can download pretty much any major and minor, uh, essentially any battle that's known that happened prior to 400 BC. You could download it or you could buy the DLC for it. Uh, they've got it all here. So if you're interested in any specific period or area of the world, and you will see that when we get into custom battles, you can go find that and play it. So, let's say that you grew up, in Syria and you're like, well, I'm very interested in the time period, of 200 BC, what was going on in Syria, or 50 AD. You can go find orders of battle for whoever controlled that piece of land at that time. It's going to be in this game, or you can at least go find it for this game. Okay, so tutorials, we already talked about the first one. We had the Romans against the Britae up here. That is your first or introductory tutorial. I would say at least play that one. And I know when people jump into a game, they're like, "Holy smokes, I don't want to play three full tutorials, right?" These are actually just like the battles you'll play otherwise. They just stop you and give you more tips as you go. So it's really, you're not going to go find something different when we go into the battles. These battles are all, I don't want to say they're all the same, right? Because it's different forces, it's different factions, it's different kinds of troops, it's different terrain, which is very important. But the game itself is the same, okay? And so don't feel like you're wasting your time in the tutorial. It's not that much different than playing a regular battle. So the first one is Britain, 54 BC. Then you get to Sicily, 277 BC. This is Pyrrhus against the Carthaginians. Carth no, Carthaginians. There we go. Carthaginians. My gosh, Carthaginians. And so, not a lot of people realize this, but actually, Pyrrhus, when he landed on Sicily, the Romans had an encampment to the east, and the Carthaginians to the west of the island, and he actually did go fight the Carthaginians. There was some thought in Rome he was coming in as an ally, and that ended up not being the case, of course, as the Romans fought Pyrrhus for decades or over a decade. Uh, as he won those Pyrrhic victories and essentially beat them in every battle and lost the war. You can also play in Italy 218 BC, Carthaginians against the Romans. Of course, this is Hannibal against the Romans. So you can play that. I mean, that's pretty cool battle to be able to play as just a tutorial. So, play those, or at least play one of them, I would say, until you get a real feel of how the ebb and flow of the game, how it works. This is a turn-based game. Sometimes, a turn-based game can give you a little bit different feel because it is odd that you can move all of your troops and then you have to sit there while the other player moves all of his troops, right? And so, depending on what kind of games you played before, again, very, very much like chess. I'll keep going back to that, but dynamic chess indeed. The next selection here, so you can play any of those three. The next one is battles, and you have a lot of choices here. You can do fight now, which just sticks you on a battlefield. Okay, it picks your side, it picks the computer side, it picks the terrain and how big, the map is generally going to be small, maybe sometimes medium. But this is just like put me down into the Battle Dome, the Thunder Dome, right? Let's get it on. That is fight now. Quick battles, very much like that, but you can pick your time period that you want to fight in. Now, I should go back and say, with the fight now, the computer will try to match you up with a force that is from the same time period and could have conceivably fought each other. So you're not getting something from, 50 BC fighting something from 250 BC. That wouldn't be fair. Now, you can do it with this game, but when the game's picking it for you for a fight now scenario, it won't put mismatched forces against each other. Quick battles kind of gives you this a little bit of control. Let's say you want to go fight in the Rise of Rome or the Rise of Persia, you can do that, okay? And pick it for those quick battles, and then the game will put you in with two forces from that time. Custom battle really lets you customize everything if you want to. You don't have to. You'll see here, you could just say, hey, potluck, just pick my army for me. Now, this would be in a situation where you could have very mismatched forces fighting each other, but you can also go up here, and I just want to show you this. All of the different armies, factions, orders of battle in this game. We come down here, you have four different flavors of Anglo-Saxon. You see these dollar signs? Those are DLC. And so I do not have the DLC. If I want to play this game, I generally just come play either as the Romans or against the Romans, uh, which this game is more centered around. But they have DLCs for everything. So I was wrong, actually. This game itself goes all the way to 1016 AD at least. And so medieval must be picking up at 1066, the Battle of Hastings with William the Conqueror, or William the Bastard, if you prefer. That happened in 1066, and that's probably the dividing line that they picked. Um, you see all of the different Arab contingents here and all of the different flavors. I talked about Syria and Iraq. You can come play the armies from that area, that time. Armenians, if you're Armenian, come in here and kick some ass with the Armenians if you want, or Assyrians. Um, they've really, really got it all. The Byzantine Empire. Yeah, so a lot of these. So the last module that they did for this game, I say module, DLC, I mean the same thing, really had a lot of the later stuff in it. So, okay, so it goes all the way to 1066, evidently, because that would be the natural dividing line. Carthaginians, down here, Gallic, German tribes, Hunnic, there's Vikings, the Jewish make an appearance here. You can fight different eras of the Jewish warriors, Jewish revolt. I guess that they have a different order of battle for that. Okay. Take on the Romans there. And so on and so forth. I mean, we could go through this forever, obviously, but you can pick your army, and then you have this your allies, enemy allies. You can also pick the enemy army if you want, and that is because these allies is because you have scenario. Now, open battle is the default. That just means you're getting thrown on a field of battle. That there's no kind of other considerations going on. You're trying to beat the enemy army. That's that. Okay. So open battle is default, but you can also play a scenario where your enemy is going to get reinforcements and you have to beat them in a certain amount of time, or maybe you're going to get reinforcements and you just have to hold on for a certain amount of time. You can do flank march, and so you've got a little baggage train here and you're trying to flank around, and the enemy, who knows what they're going to do. Rear guard, advance guard, remove the head is when you're trying to kill the enemy general and they're trying to kill your general. Escort baggage train. Okay, again, it's just a different kind of feel to the game. Okay, uh, so that's where you pick here. Force size, map type. Now, if you look at the map type, you can go potluck, Mediterranean, agricultural, hilly, wooded, mountains, deserts, tropical. You can pick any kind. Terrain is very important in this game, as you might imagine. As a hex-based board game, the advantages and penalties you get from terrain are very important. And so think very hard about what kind of terrain maybe that you want to fight in based on the kind of force that you're going to have. Maybe you want to give yourself an advantage or a disadvantage, right? Or you can let the game just pick it for you. Force selection's kind of cool. You're getting given a certain number of points and a certain number of units of each type that are in the order of battle. So let's just say that we did get the Assyrians from, 650 AD, right? They've got a certain order of battle. We would get, let's say 4 or 5 of each kind and a certain number of points to spend, and we could pick what we want our force to look like. You could do that if you want. That can kind of add another challenge to you. Do you want more of this type of unit? Do you like bowmen? Do you like cavalry? Do you like foot, light foot, heavy foot? You can pick all that out. Or you can just let the game do it. It's auto. There are some advanced options. You can add turn limits. You can add this FP increment. Force points aside, this is based on the difficulty level. And so you can give yourself a real disadvantage. If you're side A, you only get 200 or 1,083 points to pick your forces. The AI gets 1,200. So they're going to start with more, or at least probably better quality troops, right? Width and height of the board, you can pick that as well. Um, so this game is all about choices. That's custom battle. Epic battles, these are what you would think they might be. We'll go to Rise of Rome since that's the one I own. These would be the epic battles from this time period that are historically based. So they tried to really get the orders of battle as they appeared on the field at Zama. Okay, so you can go fight the final Roman victory over Carthage. Uh, Here, if you want, Cannae, obviously one of the most famous battles in world history. You can fight that out, and so on and so forth. You can see them all here. Uh, these are all Carthaginian and Roman, right? Because really, that was the conflict that consumed the entire Mediterranean of this time, at least in the Rise of Rome, which is what I own. If you want to go, what's Wolves at the Gate, the period from the fall of the Roman Empire. So I was close, right? This is where I thought this game ended. It actually, they put out a new DLC called The Wolves at the Gate, and that's from 453 to the 11th century. Wow, the Dark Ages. And so you can go in and pick, they would have 10 or 15 epic battles from that time. Now you have Empires battles. I'm going to click on that for a second. Uh, there is a game that's made by Agiod. If you're familiar with this channel, you know I like Agiod games quite a bit. It's called Field of Glory Empires. It is loosely sistered with this game in the sense that, they do call it Field of Glory, dot dot empires. That is a wonderful game. It is much better than Imperator Rome, at least at this time. I will probably do, with Paradox, you never know. They may eventually completely fix Imperator Rome. But at this moment in time, for grand strategy, uh, during this time period, really like Field of Glory Empires is fantastic. If you haven't played that game, go check it out. I really like the trading aspect of all that. Okay, let's get back to this game. What does this mean? They have given you an option in that game to export tactical battles to this game. So in that game, it's a little more abstracted. It's like a paradox game in that your army marches over and they beat each other over the head with what appears to be a sword for a little bit, and you get results. So it's like a paradox game. What they allow you to do is export those battles to Field of Glory 2 over here from Field of Glory Empires. And that's what this is. It's kind of innovative. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool that they allow you to do that. You can also play campaigns. Okay, so tutorial battles, we've covered, all the battle stuff. Campaigns will allow you to follow around a general with some of his great campaigns and follow him through history. So I think in this one, there's Caesar and there's Hannibal. Pretty much the two you would expect. Uh, there may be more. Oh yeah, there's Xenophon. Nope, nope, nope. You got to pay for that one. Sorry. I think there's five with this. Yeah, so you get Pyrrhus, Hannibal, Caesar, Mithridates. So you get the big, famous people of the age, and you can follow them kind of through their career. Now, this is not a dynamic campaign, really. It's one of those you fight this battle. If you lose X number of troops, you don't have as many troops for the next battle. It's not like Total War or something where you're moving around and it's a really dynamic campaign. This is more, if you win A, you go to B. Do you have the same number of troops or less? If you win B, you go to C, right? It's that kind of campaign. But they do have a campaign. So if you're interested in that, that's cool. The way to really play this game, of course, is multiplayer. There are tournaments on Slytherin's website all the time. You can always find a game of this. This is a very popular game. It was popular on the board. It was the original Field of Glory was popular, and this is very popular. I would say on the Slytherin website, the Field of Glory 2 tournaments are probably the most popular thing that they have going. It's definitely the most popular thing they have on their streaming channel on Twitch. So there's a lot to uncover there if you want to. Playing other humans, it's just like going to a chess tournament. You have people that really have studied this game. You also have people that just want to play a fun game. So, don't let that intimidate you. You'll figure it out. There's a great editor, as we saw, because we looked at that community up here, the community scenarios that you can bring down. All right, so for this, I think I'm just going to do a fight now and see what they send us. What are we dealing with? But I'm going to probably cut this episode right here. I'm going to try to make these short and fast and see how people like that for a game like this. So this, like I said, will probably be 2 or 3 episodes. I doubt I get through it all next time, but next time we're going to go around the map. We'll talk about what all this is, your objectives. This just tells you the battle you're about to fight and the objectives that you're trying to accomplish. But we'll go through all this. We'll talk about what all of these things on the screen are. We'll get down onto the troop level. We'll talk about moving our troops. We'll talk about impact and melee and how light infantry and heavy infantry and the differences in the terrain. We'll get into all of that. But it's not that complicated. We will figure it out in the next couple of episodes, and you'll be well prepared to play Field of Glory 2 Medieval when that comes out, or jump in a Field of Glory 2 tournament, or heck, send me a game and we'll play a quick battle if you want. So anyway, this is Strategy Gaming Dojo. Thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully this was enlightening, educational, and a little bit of fun too. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks, guys.